Welcome to this week's episode of The Providers, brought to you by SmokingIt.com. This week, Steve is back with me in the studio, and we are talking about some highs and lows of hunting and different hunting seasons. So maybe we start off a little cynical. I had a couple bad experiences that got me all riled up in this one, and then we dive into Steve letting us know about some things we can look forward to in the winter, as far as maybe training some dogs, doing some rabbit hunting and that type of thing, things that we can do to keep us going through these cold winter months. And we wrap it all up by answering one of our viewer video questions. So this is going to be a good podcast. I think we get a lot of information out of it and got a lot of opinions involved, and maybe even some learning things about maybe how you can go out and do some rabbit hunting in the wintertime. So this is going to be a fun one. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Like it or not, I'm back, baby. Woo!
Like leaving footprints in the mud. As the crisp morning air stands up your neck of hair and your adrenaline starts to flood. When you're a provider, you understand the things the woods can do. How you can lose yourself in the things that you love, but you can find yourself in them too. Yeah, we're the hard-working, hard-hunting, freeze of fair land providers. Yeah, we're the hard-working, hard-hunting, freeze of fair land providers.
Who doesn't love making a delicious meal for their family? Smoking It Smokers allow you to do just that. Simply set the settings and walk away, only to come back hours later to have a delicious meal waiting for you. Smoking It Smokers, when only the best will do.
Feel like Will Ferrell. What do I do with my hands?
It's like we've never done this before.
What do I do?
Oh, shoot. Another week of trying to figure out what our next phase is now that deer season's over, I feel like, but we can dive into that in a second. But I wanted to so back up a little bit. We're in the second week of January, so I'm kind of hitting the end of deer season stuff, and started going around and picking up trail cameras. Remember, I've talked about it a couple times about my trail camera out there on my state land here in Michigan. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So I started looking back, and between Matt sharing cameras with me and my own cameras, I've got a lot of cameras that I see on a daily basis. So I actually had not paid attention to the fact that I had not gotten a picture from my state land. And the way my cameras work is you get a test photo every day. And I hadn't had one since like November 12th, 13th, something like that. I think it was when we were down in Ohio, maybe. And so the other day I was like, I got to go get this camera. And this camera, I don't know if you remember me telling you, is in the middle of nowhere. If you got to walk from the normal parking spot. Well, the other day I was actually coming home from a work meeting, and I decided that I was going to pull my truck off the exit ramp of the highway and make my way down to this camera, because it only ends up being a couple 100-yard walk. So I get out of the truck, and I'm throwing my hunting bibs on and in my boots. I've got dress clothes on underneath it, and I'm just going to run down there real quick. Well, I get down there and pop open the camera to shut it off, and the camera's already off, and somebody stole the SD card out of it. But they did leave the camera, so I guess, unfortunately, that I have to look at that as a positive that somebody didn't steal my camera. But then it kind of got me thinking about all of the crap that I've dealt with, not just this year, but previous years. You know, we got people stealing trail cameras. I don't know if you've had it happen to you, Steve, on your property. I know you guys have dealt with some people, but you know, I had that happen this year. I've got permission on 4 pieces of property, 2 of which I have pictures of trespassers. in the past, I've dealt with a neighbor guy at another property that I used to have permission on who, I finally confronted him one day, older guy, and he's like, well, that was my family's property 40 years ago. Well, you said the word was, right? So that it's not your property anymore. But this guy was constantly driving his side-by-side back there and constantly walking his dogs back there and all this stuff. It's not his property, and he's trespassing, and he screwed up a lot of stuff, especially during deer season for me back there. Then, as I'm approaching him about that part of it, he decides to show me his barn that's full of cut off racks of bucks, some big, some tiny. And he's telling me the years that he shot all these deer. And he's like, well, I shot this one, at the beginning of 2020. And then, I shot this one a week later. And then I shot this one, and I'm sitting there in my head going, well, that's weird because Michigan's a 2-buck state. And you're sitting here openly admitting to me, as I'm looking in the corner of your barn at your rifle, which we're not in a rifle section of Michigan,
Jeez Louise.
with a mag light duct taped to the barrel, and it just frustrates the crap out of me because we've dealt with it in Michigan a ton, and we always used to say, you go down to Ohio, and we've met people in Ohio that have no idea who we are that are like, hey, come hunt my property, and they're welcoming. And it's a whole different feel than what you get in Michigan. And it's just frustrating to me that the sport has turned into this diehard, all about me, I need to be the most successful, these are my deer, whatever thought process is going through people's heads. And then to top it all off, Matt calls me the other day and says, you're not going to believe this. And I said, what? And he said, the landowner where we hunt, where we've been seeing the big deer. And then we just talked in the past podcast that hunting down there this year was totally different. We didn't see any of these big bucks. And the landowner the other night, his wife is driving home after dark, and there's a quad flying across the property with a jet sled with a big buck laying in the back of it. And they don't have permission to be out there. So now we're questioning how many other deer have been poached off this property. Is it some of the deer that we've been targeting? Is it not? But it's just this whole feeling of entitlement that people can go wherever they want to go or do whatever they want to do. And steal cameras and steal tree stands and all kinds of stuff. I just feel like it leaves kind of a black eye on hunting as a whole. But I don't know. You got any experience with that?
That's crazy. First of all, it's sickening. You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't had that. I mean, okay, we pay for a hunting lease. I think it was a year or two ago. While we were hunting, Ron said he saw somebody get up into one of our stands and actually sit it while we were hunting. And it's our stand that we pay for hunting that property. And he comes in and sits in our stand.
Right.
First thought is, the balls of some of these people to actually do something like that and think that it's okay,
Right.
It just sucks. We have to combat it somehow. You know what I mean? And I think your trail camera story is actually a prime example of how things are changing with that. So if you think this stuff is gone on for a long time, and it was probably worse back in the day even, or maybe it's getting worse now. We don't know. But what we do know now is that we can track it. So there's so many more cameras, and the cell cam use, and then it's getting to you instantly, and you're not looking at a camera 3 months later. That guy probably thought that was a regular cell cam that had it does have an SD card in it, but it's sent to your cell phone. So he's thinking, well, this guy's hunting my area. he's not going to be able to see any of the deer that I'm, like he's not going to see my deer. Or maybe he did something illegal out there and thought maybe it was on the camera or something and took the card, but it's too late. It's already out there.
Well, what's weird, I don't have a picture of him, which leads me to believe that he knew enough to approach the camera from the backside. Yeah, and do it.
Yeah. But like, I think this has been an ongoing battle since hunting started, I'm sure. You know what I mean? With who thinks they have rights and, trespassing and all that stuff. But you see all the time on social media, who knows this person? They're on my property.
They're trespassing pages. There's actually pages on Facebook ridiculous. Now about who's this trespasser? Who's this trespasser? That's how frequently it's happening.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right. Maybe there's more of it now because everything's so much more mobile and lightweight that it's easy to walk into state land or somebody's property and take down their tree stand than back in the day when you took pieces of 2x4 and lag bolted them into a tree. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that has something to do with it.
Also, the fact that, like, I know the guys that we hunt with down in Ohio, but also here, it's getting harder and harder and harder to get a piece of land to hunt, even to lease it. So that pushes people to limits that maybe they wouldn't normally do, or maybe they just think, like you said, there's this entitlement that they think that they can.
Right.
I don't know. It's getting crazy though.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I was thinking about the buck that got killed the other day on the property down in Ohio. And, to me, if there's a family that's struggling and starving, if I had a job that didn't make me enough money to feed my kids, you bet your sweet ass I'm going to find a way to feed my family. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And do I believe that there are people out there that have to go out and kill wild game to eat? Yes. And if that's the case and they need to pop a doe or something, that's fine. But the problem is a lot of
they're not after that.
They're not shooting does. They're not shooting does. Like, if I'm not going to lie to you, and I don't promote poaching by any means, but if somebody came on my property and killed a doe, the first thing in my head is you probably really need that for something, right? Mm-hmm. But if the things that are getting shot are trophies that somebody's trying to put up on their wall, obviously, that's it's a whole different mentality to me if you're out there for the trophy rather than a dire need to provide for your family.
What's crazy to me about it is it is a whole different mindset, and it's kind of like a criminal mind, right? Like, you don't have a criminal, you either have it or you don't. Like, and if you don't have it, you're like, I couldn't even fathom doing that. Like, we've talked about before the deer that I shot that wasn't on camera, and that I look at it to this day and go, man, that sucked, right? Mm-hmm. I can't imagine going and shooting a trophy buck. And then what's your story?
Right.
What's the story behind it? What? Yeah, you have this deer, you have this object, right? But it's like, there'd be no pride to it. There'd be no accomplishment to it. There'd be like, I would be ashamed of it every time I looked at it. And your buddies, your friends, your family, like, hey, I guarantee their hunting stories real short. Right. I guarantee it's, oh yeah, he came in, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're making up some stupid crap.
Not, I taught my 8-year-old to hold the spotlight real still in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I snuck onto the neighbor's property and I was, like, they don't know I'm there, but hey, I got their, like, come on.
Right.
Like, that would put just a horrendous pit in my stomach every time I looked at that deer on the wall. It would be horrible.
Well, and the other thing,
I don't know, that's just me.
I don't know. The other thing that kind of, this got me going down this whole like rabbit hole of thinking this stuff, but if somebody really does need meat, you've got the state of Michigan who's charging $20 for a doe tag now. Like, $20, can we afford $20 to go buy a doe tag? Yes. Can some families afford $20 to go buy a doe tag? No, I'm sure they can't.
Right.
And I think it's ridiculous that we can go out of state as a non-resident into Ohio and buy a doe tag for cheaper than we can buy one in the state of Michigan. Like, that's totally asinine to me that I can go down to Ohio and buy a doe tag as a non-resident for $15 and I have to spend $20 to shoot one in my own state.
The even crazier part is towards the end of season, all I've started hearing over the news is the DNR is not happy with the numbers that we're taking.
Right.
The numbers are going down. The numbers are going down. You have to promote people actually shooting those deer. Like you're saying, the prices, they are extending seasons crazy, but they're really not promoting the does like they need to be promoted for shooting does. But
and not only are they extending the season, they're dropping the price of the doe tag for the later season. If you want to buy one now, the doe tag's cheaper.
Why isn't it cheaper the whole season?
Right. Like, if
That's
you
crazy.
want deer killed, then let's keep it affordable. I mean, what doe tags used to cost? Do you remember? Like $5, $10?
$5.
I was going to say, I
$7
can't
maybe.
remember if they were like 5, maybe 10.
For some reason, 7 keeps pumping.
Yeah, but it
I don't
was
know.
affordable to go out and buy a doe tag, and now you're trying to
Well,
hit me
and
up for $20.
your hunting license altogether. But I mean, I know there's reasons for the prices and all that stuff, but come on.
Yeah, it's
Like-
it's frustrating because the other thing too, like, when Todd was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, Todd's got at any given time up to 60 deer out in his field. And if you really want to control the deer population, shooting one doe out of 60 that are standing in a
Yeah,
field
right.
isn't doing anything.
Right.
Shooting 5 does out of 60 that are standing in the field aren't doing anything, and that just cost you $100. Like, the average person can't even begin to regulate a deer population at the tag prices. I don't know. It's frustrating. I'm not saying the DNR doing anything right or wrong because I'm not an expert at that, but it just seems crazy to me that it costs less for me to go down to Ohio and shoot a doe than it does in my own state. That's kind of frustrating. So
I also wonder, like, I know there's a big push from a lot of hunters about the going from the combo tag to a $1 state and what effects that would do to our bucks. But I think the main argument of hunters is just the quality of the bucks that we would get from that, which is definitely true. But you know how many more does would also be shot if it was just a $1 state? I
Right.
mean, a lot of guys will shoot a buck and then they're like, well, that's not quite enough venison for my family. I need another deer. So they'll shoot another buck while a doe's standing right next to that buck. And
Right.
then they'll shoot a small one. They don't care. And then it gets down to you can't eat the horns. It doesn't matter. And you get into all that. It's kind of a snowball effect with that $2 rule. And believe me, when I was younger, I loved that $2 rule. And I
Oh, yeah.
used it. Like, it was...
yep,
I was
I was the same
probably
way with that.
probably a span of 10 years where I was tagged out every year getting my $2. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's good to an extent, but it's also hurts. So I don't know.
And now I still buy the combo tag, but typically if I kill a buck in the season, then I put my restricted tag on it, and then I use the other buck tag to shoot a doe, rather than buying a doe tag, because I'm not going to spend the extra $20 to buy another doe tag.
The last couple of years, I've been like, why am I even buying this combo?
Yeah.
And then maybe people start doing that and saying, okay, I'm just going to buy a single, and maybe the state learns through that, like, okay, what's going on? We're only doing single tags now. So I don't know.
Right. Or, like we said, if you really want does dead, which now they're expanding seasons later into January and stuff, you gotta keep that doe tag price down, or I just don't see the change happening. So
I don't know. I mean, they do free fish weekend in the winter and in the summer.
true. Yeah, true.
Do a free doe weekend. You know, like free doe week or whatever. Like
That would actually be pretty cool.
you know, like I don't know how they would do it, but like, you know, it's they do it for fishing, and I know, you know, there's no tag involved and all that, but like
Right.
that would be a cool program to implement too. You know,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I decided I was going to be cynical this episode because I was pissed off that somebody's messing with my trail camera, and then
I don't blame you, man.
dealing with trespassers and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, it's just frustrating. Like, I don't understand where the sport has made such a turn that people can't just go out and enjoy themselves.
And it's super impactful too, knowing that Matt called me about that as well. My first reaction was, if that was your big buck that you guys have been chasing for the last 3 years, like the history you have behind that buck, it's not that somebody just came and got a deer off your property. You've been working at that for a long time. Like, you guys have figured out his patterns, and like things change, and setups and encounters and all this stuff, and then you just have some jackass come in out of left field and just think that he runs the place, and just that's just heart-wrenching.
Yeah, and this goes back to what I've always said is that deer's not my deer. That deer's not Matt's deer.
Yeah.
But hopefully, like, if a neighbor or somebody killed it, that deer's big enough. If somebody kills it, everybody's going to know about it in that area.
Right.
But it would create some closure to the story, right?
But it's also a good for you, you know, not a...
Yeah, I'd be happy
You know.
for somebody. But I would also know what the result is, and that
Yeah.
deer's gone.
Right.
And like you just said, if somebody poaches that deer, what are they going to do with it?
Right.
Like...
Right.
They're going to put it in their house and have to make up some story, and none of their friends that are neighbors or anybody gets to know about it because they'll know
Right.
it wasn't harvested legally. Like,
Right.
what's the good feeling about that? And we don't get any closure because we just don't know what happened with the whole thing. So
On the flip side of it, you shoot a monster buck these days, and it's a whole different situation. Didn't you have a friend that shot what they thought was going to be like a world record, not world record, but state record, county record, whatever, class buck? And what did they do in that situation? That I wouldn't even thought of.
yeah, so
But these days you have to, because everything is looked into, magnified when you shoot a buck that class.
yeah, and it was a friend of a friend. I don't know the hunter directly, but I do know his buddy who shared pictures and stuff with me, and he shot what could end up being the biggest whitetail shot this year, either in America or definitely in Ohio. And he released his arrow and sat down in his tree stand, and the first thing he did was called the local police and the DNR. First thing he did.
I would have never thought of that. I would have never thought of
Didn't
that.
step foot out of his tree stand, didn't do anything until the DNR and the police were standing at the base of his tree so they could document that he was on his own property, that he did everything legitimately, and then he had them track the buck with him so that he could just show that everything was on the up and up. Because if not, you know, there would have been a million stories and rumors floating around about this thing, and it would have been an absolute nightmare for him. But it's sad that that's where you've got to go with this stuff now.
Right. Because there's so many corrupt people that are doing it the wrong way.
Yep.
That, yeah, even if you're doing it the right way, you're trying to cover your ass. So
Yeah.
crazy.
So it's, yeah. As much as I love hunting, don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of people that bring a bad name to it, and I don't know. I had to bring it up. It was driving me crazy.
All right, I'm changing the subject because you're
Good.
You're starting
Yes.
to depress me over here.
I'm getting a drink of coffee and letting you talk.
Oh man. So just to change the subject. onto something.
Reset.
Onto something fun for me, anyways. So, how'd Christmas shopping go for you this year?
Oh, for me? For other people, or
Like when you went shopping and, you're shopping for your girls and the family.
right. Well, yeah, I mean, I had a very specific list of what I was going for, so I would say that most of my shopping was relatively easy this year. Luckily, I have a wife that does a lot of shopping for the kids, but
I hear that.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, and Amazon.
Yeah.
Probably the UPS guy doesn't like to hear that, but Amazon does get a fair amount of my business. So
We deliver a lot of their packages too.
yeah, so nothing super crazy for me. Why? What are you getting into?
So, my story's a little different.
Oh, jeez.
So, I'm going to rewind a little bit. I have a nice gun safe that's been in my man cave for 15 to 20 years. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, Renee says, "Hey, you know that gun safe?" I'm like, "Yeah." She says, I don't have the combo to that." I said, "Uh-huh." She goes, "You could have anything in there that you want." And I said, "Uh-huh." She goes, like, "You could get a new gun and put it in the gun safe, and I'd never know." And I said, "Uh-huh." And I just dropped it. So Renee doesn't have the combinations of my gun safe. I think the only person that I think I've told it to Ron before, but Ron,
He doesn't remember.
That's in one ear out the other. I think the only person that I think would remember it would be Sam. And other than that,
That's funny.
yeah. So
You should probably share that with me just in case there was ever a major catastrophe or something.
I probably should. So, anyways, I've had this gun in mind for a long time.
Oh, no.
And so Sam has a 350 Legend. I really enjoy that gun. It's just been a nice gun. So he's got a Ruger American 350 Legend. Like, tack driver. Like, it's been dead on, 200 yards, dead on. Like, I love that gun. Dad needs to step up and get one, right? So, my buddy John, last year, he buys one. But he bought the Ruger American Gen 2. So, it's an upgrade. It's better. It's nice. It's beautiful. It's got a spun, twisted barrel. Like, the thing is like, oh my God, this thing is sweet, right? So, I'm like, well, I'm not one to just go out and just buy. Like, I make decisions on big purchases over a long period of time and probably drag my feet more than I need to. But I research crap out of it. So, for the last year, I've just been, I'll put a little bit in my safe. I'll put a little bit in my safe. I'll put in a little bit in my safe. Well, then Jay sells me his old bow for Sam. I told Renee, "Hey, I'm buying this bow. Don't worry. It's safe. I've got money tucked away.
It's safe money.
It's safe money. Like, don't worry about it." She's like, "Huh. Okay. Like, safe money, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It's not coming out of our account." So I buy him this bow. That cut into Dad's gun fund again. And I'm like, I'm starting over, So I'm putting money away. Well, then Matt's talking to me about potentially going back down for a doe hunt for muzzleloader season. And my muzzleloader is so outdated and so horrible. Like, I'm pretty sure the breech plug is just welded in it at this point. It's just bad. So I'm thinking, let's just be responsible and logical here. Let's just get a muzzle loader, and then we can push the dream gun out a little. You know, like this, it'll be next year's project. So let's get a muzzleloader. Those are a lot cheaper. I've already got a scope, you know, like no problem. So I have that in my mind. Now, as a UPS driver, I have no time. So I'm just like, I don't have time to just go out and shop and do all this stuff. Well, I had Sundays off. Renee's like, we have to go shopping for the boys together. She's been buying, like Erica, she's been buying all this stuff that they've been asking for. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not really paying attention to even everything that's on their list. And she's like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, well, I want to get the boys golf clubs. And she's like, whoa. Okay. And I'm like, yep, well, let's just go shopping for golf clubs. She's like, all right. As we left, I made a little trip into the man cave, grab a stack of cash. And I'm like, just in case. So as we leave the driveway, I go, by the way, I'm going to do a little side shopping and I'm looking for a muzzleloader. She's like, okay. And I'm like, they're not that expensive. Nothing's going to come out of our account. It's safe money. So we go to a local gun shop that happened to be open, and I walk in. She stays in the parking lot. I walk in there. I look around. I find a gun. I find a CVA Optima. It was a great price. Just needed a scope. So I'm like, sweet, I already have a scope. I'm not going to hold her up, so I'll come back later. How late are you open? Okay. Get in the truck, carry on. We continue to shop for the boys. We went to a upper class golf shop in the area. Renee got a little sticker shock, so then she says, let's go to Dunham's and Dick's and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. So we go into Dunham's, and we're looking around at what they have for the golf stuff, and I didn't really like what they had. But I said, you know what? I'm going to look and see what muzzleloaders they have in the back, just to see. So I go back there. What do they have on the rack? The Ruger American Gen 2 with the nice, pretty twisted barrel, everything perfect. And I looked up on that, and I said, can you just get it out of the case? I just want to look at it. I had it in my hands. I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, I've been looking for this gun for a while. Nope, get it out of my hands. Like, all right,
I was gonna
go ahead and
say,
put it back. So we're walking out of the store, and I whispered to Renee, I'm like, there's a chance I might come back. And she's like, what? I'm like, they've got the gun I've actually been looking for this whole time. I don't know what we're gonna do. So we continue shopping. We get golf clubs for the boys, and you know all this. Renee's already sticker shocked over that. That's a whole different topic, but. I looked at her and I said, hey, do you want to wait around for this background check, or do you want me to drop you off at home? And she goes, just drop me off. I don't want to deal with it. I'm like, sweet. So I drop her off, and I head right to the gun shop. I'm like, let's do the smart choice. Walked in there, got the muzzleloader, went through their paperwork, did their background check. Went, put it in my truck, immediately went to Dunham's, grabbed that American Ruger, bought that gun, did the background check, came home. I get in the living room, and she goes, well, did you get your gun? And I said, zzz. She goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, I got two guns.
Jeez.
Merry Christmas to me.
I was going to say, so that was your Christmas gift, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. And I said, don't worry, it was safe money.
Safe money. She's like, how much is in this safe?
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. First time I bought two guns in one day, so that was interesting.
Right.
Probably on
right.
some sort of crazy list out there somewhere.
I was going to say, the government's like, this is really weird. We're going to flag him for the next 6 months. So,
Right.
yeah. Although, unless you're going into the Civil War, they're probably figuring you're not going to do a
I'm not
ton
gonna
with
do a
the
whole lot with a
muzzleloader.
muzzleloader.
So what else have you been doing, man? I mean, I mean, for the most part, deer season's wrapped up at this point. So what's your thoughts moving on to?
Well, most people in our position are like, oh, deer season's over. This sucks. I got to wait. And it's a big down time until they can start prepping their properties and all of that stuff, right? Not this guy. I can't wait. It is about to be game on for rabbits. So I have hunting beagles that I've been doing that for the last, I think my oldest beagle is 13 maybe. So
yeah, it's been a long time.
I've been doing that game for quite a while. So I love training the dogs. I love spending the time out there, watching them work, listening to them. I like taking other guys out, and I mean, most of the time,
I love shooting rabbits.
Yeah, and I've shot enough rabbits, so I don't care if I shoot a rabbit or not. So like last year, I went with a 22 pistol. I wound up shooting one, and it was super exciting because I shot it with a pistol. But there's other times where, you know, I'll grab the 20 gauge and I'm like, yeah, let's stack up some rabbits. But I just really enjoy being out in the woods and taking them out and having a trained dog makes the world of difference. And the amount of, there's a lot of time that you put into them, but man, is it worth it. I can take 3 beagles out without a lead, have them stay within 5 yards of me all the way across the field, and then let them into that woods and let them do their thing. And when I call them, they come back. When I'm, you know, we did it right out of the gate. My wife said, if we're getting into this, she was into it. We did beagle trials back in the day. We did a ton of stuff with the dogs when the boys were young. Their sports kind of took over, so it kind of got us out of that game. But we got a Garmin collar system that we love. And if you think that that's being cruel to the dog, it's 100% not. I have a whole mapping on my handheld that's GPSed. I can tell exactly where every dog is. I can see if a rabbit doesn't know if there's a road or not. So that beagle is gonna chase that rabbit no matter where it goes. So I can see if they're headed towards danger, like a road, and I can stop them. So just things like that. It just, I have a big passion for it. I love it. It's great in this time of year, like your downtime from deer hunting, and you have a downtime. Most guys have a downtime between deer hunting and turkey hunting, you know. But this fills that void huge, you know. And we bring the boys up from Ohio. We get everybody together. We do an annual big hunt. I'll do a few other sideline bigger hunts throughout the year or throughout the season, but usually rabbit season starts in October, but I don't hit the woods until now because like you said earlier in the podcast, there's a lot of idiots out there. So if somebody's out there deer hunting and they think that I screwed up their hunt because of my dogs, I don't want them to take that out on my dogs and shoot them or get in an altercation over it or anything like that. It's not that big for me. So I just stay out of the woods until January hits, and then I hit the ground hard, and it's just fun. I just love it.
And from a hunting standpoint, at least when I've been with you, it seems like it's a lot easier, obviously, to see rabbits when there's snow on the ground.
Yeah,
because they're tiny, definitely. And you're trying to jump them out of places.
Yep.
But I had never rabbit hunted until you got your dogs, so it's kind of been a learning curve for me. Mm-hmm. But you know, as the dogs are working, we still jump on brush piles, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what do we say? Like, as far as habitat goes. If somebody's never tried this before, I mean, what's cool about this is you can go out and do it on state land. And
Yeah.
it's way different than trying to deer hunt on state land where you feel like you're battling everybody. I mean, this time of year, hardly anybody's out in Michigan on state land. You can go out and brush stomp and jump rabbits out, right? So, like, what kind of habitat do you look for?
I mean, rabbits are everywhere, but like more thick. There's underbrush areas and things. If it's a big open hardwoods, it's harder to find rabbits. I will be honest, but we have thickets and swales and froze over. Like sometimes there's like that real thick lowland marsh areas that just freezes over, and rabbits, they flourish in that area, you know. So and that's what we find at Dave and Lynn's when we go there. They have a great spot that's just a lowland spot that pretty much you can't walk through during the summer at all, but
Right, probably full of water.
Yeah,
And then
and
as soon as it freezes up, the rabbits
and
just
the rabbits just
flock
they
to it.
love that, and they're everywhere in it. And the edge, you know, hunting the edges of that where all the thick stuff is. So a typical rabbit is going to circle a couple 100 yards, 300 yards. You know what I mean? Like it's and they're going to circle instinctively.
And when they
So-
circle, you mean they, and I had to learn this too, right? So when they circle, they're trying to get back to where you jumped them out of, essentially.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So it was hard for me to learn when the rabbit runs not to try to chase it, because
It's a very strategic way of hunting where you're not, if you're chasing the sound of the dog, you're way behind. Typically, except for the jump, right off the jump, the dog is like right on their tail. You know, I typically tell everybody that I'm with, hey, let's try not to jump shoot these rabbits unless you know there's not a dog in your immediate area and you jumped it. But a lot of times that dog is right on that rabbit. So it doesn't take much in that rabbit. Once that rabbit gets, they can sprint really fast. They'll get just out of reach of the dog, and then they turn, and then the dog has to use their nose. So now they're not sight chasings are fast and intense, but then they'll lose sight of the rabbit and they have to use their nose. So if you think about it, they'll run over we call it the line that the rabbit's running. They'll run over that line, not smell the rabbit, not see it, and have to search. And then they smell it and they take off again. Well, it's the whole tortoise and the hare, exactly, because that rabbit will run and hide and it'll stop, and then that dog will catch up and find it, and then it'll take off again, and it'll take off again, and what it tries to do is circle back around. It doesn't want to leave its home, right? So it wants to get back to where its home is, but it's also deals with so many predators like coyotes and fox and things like that it will also go over its own tracks in a circle and try to confuse the game as well. So it's, when you're hunting that way, it's a strategic, hey, stand here or stand there, and you know, maybe it circles twice and you're like, all right, it's, you know, stay in this area over here to get your shots. Some guys will go out and jump shoot rabbits without a dog and do very well, and they may get a lot of rabbits. Using dogs helps get the rabbits going. Usually you see, you know, quite a bit of rabbits. But it does take a little bit more time because the dogs are working and running the rabbits around.
But the dogs are also getting into spots that we probably wouldn't be getting into.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's incredible
100%.
to watch these dogs.
100%.
And they get tore up in the process. I mean, at the end of the hunt, their tail's bleeding and their belly's bleeding. I mean, they get into some stuff, but it's because they love it. I mean, they're not
They
getting punished.
absolutely love it.
They will go forever. So when we have the Ohio guys up, we do a big hunt at Steve's relatives, Dave and Lynn's, and they've got great rabbit property. It's just a great property all around, but it holds a lot of rabbits. Do you remember, because you've got the Garmin on those dogs, what's the furthest amount that those dogs have worked in a day?
Probably, I would say upwards of 25 miles, probably.
Yeah, it's insane.
Probably.
And we're walking maybe, 6 or 7 of those?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're moving to get yourself into the next position. The dog's working hard to chase a rabbit in circles and jump more rabbits and whatever. So it's crazy what those dogs go through. But man, it's so fun watching them. And
They get so excited. They just love it.
and it's funny
Absolutely
because you
love
get the beagle howl, the ow, ow, ow.
Yeah.
And that's when they're having their most fun, right? Because they're working, and you get
Yeah.
people coming out of their houses or something going, is that dog hurt? And whatever.
Is it
You're
okay?
like, no,
Yeah.
that dog is the happiest dog in the world right now.
And what's funny is the handler, this is what the owner, the handler for the dog, you get to know each individual dog so well. They can be a couple 100 yards away and you can hear it bark and you know exactly what dog barked first, what dog, and then they will pack up and hunt together. So they use each other. So one will smell a rabbit, they'll take off. They're barking instinctively. The other one will come in and join them, and then they lose the rabbit, and then one of them finds it and they take off again. But as the handler, I'm in the woods. You're out there as a guest with me, and you're like, sweet, there's a rabbit and there's rabbits coming, and I'm going, Stormy got that one first. Oh, Daisy's on it now. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can tell, like, I can be like, Daisy's a real hot-nosed dog that is only going to bark if it's like right there. And she starts barking. I'm like, Greg, get ready. And I'll tell guys
Yeah,
like, hey,
no.
we're going, so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. You get to learn how they work and learn what they do. And it's been a process, but man, it's been worth it. It's been fun.
The other thing that's cool about it is it's just a small game license, right? So that's part of your base license that you
Yep.
buy. So if you hunt turkey or deer or fish, whatever, you've got to buy that base license. So you've already got a license to go do it.
Right.
And the season runs till March 15th?
March 31st.
March 31st. I was wrong.
Yep.
So it's something super cool you can do through the winter. Like, if you haven't tried it, I think it's awesome. Trying to shoot a rabbit is totally different than trying to shoot a lot of other game. So we laugh. We brought Matt and Jay up the first year, and those guys are both pretty good with a gun, but they could not hit a rabbit to save their life. And it was hilarious to watch them keep trying.
And the more we picked on them, the more
The more flustered they get.
or they get real picky. Like, it was behind a couple weeds, and we're like, oh, it's birdshot that you're using. It's, you can
shoot through that.
You
Right.
be all right. So they're treating it like a deer hunt. Like, if it just took one more step,
Right.
it's like, come on, dude.
Nope, just unload on it. And I had a gun that had never missed a rabbit. It was incredible. And then I had a friend named Steve who asked me if he could use my gun one day while I was videotaping him. And he blew that all to heck for me. So, yeah.
It wasn't that great a gun. It just wasn't.
It's still fantastic to me.
I think the sights are off.
So yeah, so if you get a chance, it's something fun and new to try. If you got somebody with dogs, it's a whole different experience. But yeah, if not, man, we have found, and we've said this kind of twofold, right? So you go out on state land, you can find some really cool spots to rabbit hunt. The other thing is we found some really cool spots that would be amazing deer hunting spots by rabbit hunting, and it's kind of like
and even on your own property, you wouldn't normally just be out there, but in the winter you can see all of their major trails.
Deer trails, yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, so you can use it as a scouting mission while you're out having some fun trying to shoot some stuff, and rabbit tastes delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's amazing. So if you get a chance, check out some rabbit hunting. Actually, if you go to our YouTube page, we've got some videos of some past rabbit hunts on there. You can get an idea what Steve's talking about. But
the rest of the time on my off season, I have a new project, which is going to be a vital, awesome piece of hunting equipment, and that is a awesome red lab. And his name's Ace. You're gonna start seeing him. He's only about 6 months now, and that's gonna be my duck dog. And the process has already begun, and I am training the crap out of that dog. And he loves it, and it's been great. He's already sitting and staying and only going on his name, and there's a lot of little things that people don't understand with the training process and how the building blocks work of it all. And I'm from the time we brought him home, like little things that nobody understands is what happens if you get a dog that's gun shy and you try to take it hunting. It's not going to work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I cut blocks of wood, like literally just 2x4s, and that puppy is eating food in a comfortable area, and I'm smashing those blocks right over his head over and over repetitively, so that if he hears a bang in the future, he's going to be like, oh, that's normal, that's fine, that doesn't scare me. So it's little things like that we'll cover, and I'll share more stories with his progress and what we're doing. But it's all those little building blocks that nobody thinks about. They just show up on a hunt and go, oh, you got a dog. Okay. And sometimes that dog is horrible and screws up your hunt. And sometimes that dog is what's going to make or break your hunt, because you're not going to find the game that you just shot. So that all of that stuff is super exciting to me, and it's a lot of time, but it's such a great reward to see your dog work and do everything that you have trained that dog to do. I just started him on an e-collar. We're just working into that. There's so many layers and so many things that you have to do to get that dog ready. So yeah. I'm super excited.
We'll definitely want to dive more into that, because it's something cool. And the other thing that's nice is it helps pass time between like your major seasons, which to me, my major seasons would be deer hunting and turkey hunting, right? So the more that we have this filler stuff,
which is
and maybe
great
to some people rabbit
don't
hunting
like it as much,
right?
It's great,
and maybe to people, rabbit hunting is the major season, or training your dog for duck hunting is the major priority. So everybody's got their own thing. But I think to me, like, talking about this stuff is cool, because it's kind of what I would consider a secondary event that we can do. I mean,
we talk about an easy way to get a kid into a sport, to get a kid outdoors and get him involved. Like, let's go rabbit hunting. Mm-hmm. Walk around the woods, showing them the woods.
Yep.
There's so many safety things that they learn during a rabbit hunt, where it's like, hey, you got to know where everybody's at. You got to, know what you're shooting at, wearing the orange and getting them out there. Like, it's such a good learning experience for the youth. For, small game is really good way to teach them.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, we've got ice fishing coming up. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're excited to talk about here now that deer season's starting to close down. But before we totally jump off of deer season,
Wait, hold on.
uh-oh.
I am excited for the rest of this stuff that we just talked about. I'm super excited. Greg might be a little bit depressed that deer season's over.
I am.
But then again, I was successful this year, so I guess it's just a whole different seat on the bus. So I guess, yeah, carry on.
Wow. Wow. Oh, who needs enemies when you have friends like
Tag soup's pretty good these
It's
days.
delicious. It's delicious. I'm actually now printing my Ohio tags on flavored paper. So we got an email from the Providers Podcast at Gmail email that people can send in, and
Can't wait.
This one does not have a name to it, but I think this is a great question that people can learn from. So here's what we got. Hunting with a longbow, I have to get a deer inside of 20 yards to make an ethical shot. Because of this, low wind speeds and thermals often become more of an issue than they normally would be with a compound bow. This is primarily because I can't set up 30 yards off of a main travel corridor and strategically position myself to get shots on a deer before they enter my thermal area. I consistently have deer go by at 30 to 40 yards that I can't touch because if I move to within range of the main trail without a 15 plus mile per hour wind, my scent just drops to the ground and they bust me before getting into range. How would you approach this?
First, kudos to you for making a challenging thing such as taking a deer to an even more challenging process. So that's pretty awesome. I tip my hat to anybody that's doing traditional. That's pretty sweet. I'm gonna answer this I know that it's sounds like a scent control issue on their end of what they're saying, but I'm going to answer this like I have learned this mainly from goose hunting in an open field. I know that sounds like it's left field, but it's really all about the hide. Even the scent control Greg and I have covered over and over, so that is almost a given to me that we're doing everything we can with scent. You're not going to get it 100%, but you can do everything you can for that. The hide is where I think it's at. So you have to, especially with a traditional bow, you'd have to get into thicker cover, thicker area where you have that close range shot is almost all you're gonna get, which makes it a very tough sit. From what I would say, it's a tough sit. But I say goose hunting wise because I've had so many times where in the past when I was goose hunting, I thought I had my decoy set right. I thought I had everything right, and I'm sitting in my layout blind, and I'm like, literally used to see V's of geese come over and just separate right over top of me. Like, okay, they're seeing something. What is going on? And it took me years to figure that out. Now it's like I'm going to spend most of my time on getting those blinds packed in. Greg, you've been out with me where I'm like, nope, keep putting, like if we're in a cornfield, keep putting stocks on. And you're like, what are you doing? And I can see anybody that I take out with me for the first time or whatever, they're like, why are we doing this? And it's like, because if they see you, it's over, and I feel like that's the same way of getting a deer into close range. And just like my deer that I shot this year in Ohio, I was not in the right spot. So I moved to get myself in a better position so that I had cover. And to get them in close, you got to have that hide is what I would say. That's my take on it.
So you
play the wind, but
I
hide
didn't
is
think
going to be more important to me.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it the way you just said it, but maybe especially with a longbow, maybe it is trimming some extra branches and taking them up with you and actually creating cover. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're hunting out of a saddle or a tree stand or whatever, but you can get creative and make your own cover. Because the other thing that stands out to me with a longbow, like, you don't get to draw and hold your draw for 2 minutes like we do with a compound, so that you're trying to make your motion before the deer gets in on you. You got to make that move while the deer's in tight. So maybe having more cover in your tree is going to help. Sounds to me like you understand thermals because you're talking about them, but the thing about thermals is no matter what the wind speed's doing, they say thermals are following temperature, right? So in the morning, your thermals should be rising because the temperature's rising. In the evening, your thermals are going to drop because the temperature's going down as the sun sets. So my initial thought is morning hunts might be better because you're going to try to take thermals out of that. If you have water by you, flowing water can actually affect thermals and pull thermals. So if you can get a river or something to your back, that can help actually pull your scent back behind you regardless of what the wind's doing. And then the other thing I think that I would say about it is you're talking about trying to get deer within 20 yards because they're skirting you at 30 to 40. You have to, and this was hard to learn, you may be in what you consider the sweet spot, right? Because you know deer are traveling. Maybe they're coming together at the Magic X right at your tree right now. But the thing is they have to have a way to get there. So maybe what you need to do is move yourself further up the trail, right? The deer trail, to get yourself into a tighter position on them. So maybe you're just off the magic honey hole where they're all coming into this certain clearing. Maybe you're moving up that deer trail 30 yards, but you're finding a tree that's maybe, off to the east side of the trail. So on a predominantly west wind, you're blowing the right direction. And maybe you've only got a 10-yard shooting window, but the deer use it because they all ultimately make it to that destination point that maybe you're hunting right now. You're just getting a chance to kill them 30, 40, 50 yards sooner. And also, the further you move up that trail, to me, if you're seeing those deer, right at daybreak or right as the sun sets, the further you can move yourself up the trail, the more daylight you should be able to offer yourself. So, but I like Steve's thought too about adding some cover to the tree. I think not enough people think about the fact that you can trim branches and take them up and zip tie them up in a tree. You're talking about adding cover, but you can also try to funnel the deer in the direction that you want them to go a little bit. So if you're thinking outside of the box, if there's another trail that's at 30 yards and you need them at 10 to 15 to 20 yards, you can take some down brush and put it over that trail. Deer are creatures of what's the easiest path. They're just like us. We're going to try to take the easiest path. So you might not have all of them funnel, but it might make them skirt in closer to you. So that's another whole element that you could add. If you're at a spot, you love that tree, you think that they should be right here, but they keep coming this direction, maybe alter their path a little bit and get them to funnel into you. But what's the other point I have on this too is, I'm not saying this against anyone. A traditional hunter is amazing, but because I have the ability with my compound to shoot 30, 40, 50 yards, doesn't mean that I do that.
from all the deer that I've taken, 90 to 95% of them have been within that 20 yards and even closer. So we're on the same page. We're doing the same things. Don't think of it as I'm a traditional hunter, so I need to do this. I'm doing the same thing as you, bro. Like, I'm doing that. I'm doing everything I can to get them as close as possible. I've shot a couple deer at 30 yards. And to me, Greg knows, I've told him, man, I practiced a lot this year, and I was confident I shot that thing at 30 yards. And to me, that was a big accomplishment. There's a lot of compound guys that will shoot out further, and those are the diehards that are shooting every single day, and they're dialed in and all of that. We have families, we have jobs, we have all that. It's hard to do, but my goal is 20 yards or less. Like, don't think that that's not my goal as a archery hunter, like as a compound hunter. We're on the same page. We're trying to do the same thing. So it doesn't have to be a separation of, I have to do this because of this. I'm doing the same thing. Like, it's that,
And moving further down the trail, I think, like I said,
you just like moving.
I do like moving. But I think there was a time period where we were like, this is the perfect tree. This is a perfect tree. This is a perfect tree, because of the shape and setup of the tree, not because of its location in regards to the trail.
And I've learned a lot from you in that respect of I don't have to be locked into this spot. I can alter it. I can change a little bit. I can, you are really good at, I keep seeing that deer and he's at 50 yards. He's just at 50 yards. So I probably think a lot like this question that we had is, well, maybe next time he'll be at 20. Maybe next time he'll be at 20. And he keeps skirting me. Greg gets skirted once or twice, and he's like, I'm going over there. And you make that move, and a lot of times that pays off for you. So, I mean, I think that not be hesitant to be able to make that move. Sometimes you get in a little too deep and you learn your lesson on it. You know what I mean? But
if you can still get to that point without spooking deer, then I say move up the trail. But as soon as you realize, oh crap, it's dark and I'm trying to get in there and I step on a branch and I hear every deer in the county stand up and run away, nope, probably not going to work. You got to back yourself back out and get to a point that you have access.
But to bring up an old slogan of yours that you used to say a lot, and you still say it, you can't kill them from the couch, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, man, it's a windy day. It sucks. Everything's bad, but you know what? You can't kill them from the couch. I'm going out anyways, right? Mm-hmm. Couldn't you say the same thing by sitting in that same tree that you get skirted on every time? It's the same thing.
Yeah, you're just
can't
watching.
Kill them from the couch. You get in there. Yep. Get closer. Move.
Yep. Yeah. So,
but I think the hide is more important than the wind, in my opinion. And I know that we are strict on our scent control, and that probably puts us at a higher advantage than most with the wind in thinking of that. But I think the hide is more important to me nowadays.
And I'm going to add one more thing. I know we talk about it all the time, but access. So make sure the deer aren't busting you because they're getting to your boots. Your boots are leaving scent on the ground no matter what. Make sure you're not walking in on the same trail that the deer's coming down, because they're going to smell your boots no matter what. That's how I feel. I can't get my boots scent free enough that they don't stop and at least smell where you walked. You disturb the dirt, you move the leaves, whatever it is. I've made it almost a little bit of a strategy now that I try to walk in on the exact, I want to cross the deer's trail perpendicular at the exact spot that I want a deer to stop, so I have my best shot, because I know the deer is going to put their nose down when they get to my boot. So if I can cut across their trail getting to my stand, then the thought process is the deer's going to walk down the trail, they're going to sniff my boot, the first thing they're going to do is stop what they're doing and put their head down, and hopefully they're right in my main shooting lane. And I've been trying that for the past couple of years, and it's worked awesome on a couple of does. I haven't shot a big buck doing that, but it's kind of cool because it's a great way to naturally get them to stop without having to grunt, without having to do anything. They just naturally put their head down because your boot print's right there. So
on the flip side, there's a lot of spots that I've had in the past where it's like I cannot figure out a better way. Like that, the spot that I'm thinking of with this scenario is something thick, nasty with that cover that I just described, and sometimes the only way to get to that spot is down that trail, right? But I'll have a drag line. I'll have something, like that. I'll have that scent that I'm dragging across there that most people are using that as an attractant, but it's more of a cover. You're covering up your own boot scents too. Like you need to think of it as, like I was talking about earlier with the beagles, their nose is so good and they're tracking things. Like a deer's the same way. Put a different scent on there to cover it up, and then to confuse them. So
yeah. So hopefully that's a couple of things you can think about next time you're out there with a longbow. I know that's not going to be me. I am not a longbow hunter. Did you ever try? You tried it, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a different world. So best of luck to you on that one. Thanks for writing in. If you guys want to send something to us, you can at theproviderspodcast@gmail.com. And I think that is going to wrap us up for this week. We've given you about an hour and 10 minutes of listening to us ramble on and on. So, as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate our sponsor, SmokingIt.com. And make sure you're checking us out on YouTube. Like we said, if you want to watch some of those rabbit hunts, you can check it out on our YouTube page. And you can also get a hold of us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we appreciate the heck out of you guys. We'll see you next week.
It's off season, baby. Let's get some bunnies.
Yeah, what a